Welcome to the American News Media Center located in central Connecticut. I'm Ed Peruta, the president of American News, and to my right, viewed on your left, is attorney Rachel M. Baird, who makes this show possible with her extreme intelligence. She even drilled some of it out of the top of my head. Summary Judgment is our primary Saturday afternoon program where we attempt to discuss weekly events and offer our viewers the ability to join in our discussions and share their thoughts on various topics that may concern them. If you subscribe to us on YouTube, the channel is Summary Judgment Talk Show. You will be notified when we go live with our show. We also transmit live on Facebook at American News, AM News Network. Now, we'll be right back. She's being very bossy. Did you notice that?
Are you talking about Master Control?
Master Control.
A little bit.
I think that this big job she's got up in New York during the week is giving her.
Well, good for her. She's probably
Pretty soon
getting
she's gonna
empowered
be-
and feeling
pretty soon
confident.
she's-
I like
Pretty
that.
soon she's going to be our boss.
Did we do an opening already?
We did.
Okay. Did you do it?
I did it.
You read from a piece of paper, right?
I did. I read. Okay, go ahead. Do your way. I
got to tell you,
You've
it
got
wasn't
it
even like a
memorized.
teleprompter.
You've
You
got
were
it
looking
memorized.
down like that.
I know. We've got a teleprompter.
It's very good.
Go ahead.
No, welcome to Summary Judgment. I can't do it now. You already did it. Let's get right. A lot happened this weekend. We can't fool around. Okay,
Well,
we got to get to it.
Do you have any topics? You can say no.
Let's do yours first.
Okay.
And see if we get to mine.
I'm concerned with the effects that the Chauvin trial has had on the country. I believe that police officers are going to begin to be afraid to take appropriate action.
I wouldn't say afraid.
Okay, they're going to be.
I wouldn't use
They're
the
going
term
to be.
afraid.
There's a word. Their ability to take the appropriate action is going to be affected. Okay. Now,
Let me just
Derek Chauvin.
Derek Chauvin.
Derek Chauvin.
Okay,
We got the name right.
you got it right.
I am very concerned with the loss of life during a police encounter. I don't think it should happen. I wish that every police encounter resulted in a peaceful, orderly resolution. Can we agree on that?
I don't know. It kind of reminds me of when the former Waterbury police chief, and I don't want to get his name wrong. He's the West Hartford police chief now. When he told the citizens of Waterbury, if a police officer comes to your door, if a police officer wants to search your car, just say yes and consent and work it out in court later. Well, you know what? If you consent, you can't work it out in court later because you've consented.
Especially if you're sentenced and sitting up in a federal or state penitentiary.
Yeah, so I think about that. So basically what you're saying is no matter what the police do, people acquiesce peacefully, and there may be some situations where that's impossible.
And before we go any further, let me explain. 2-3 weeks ago, I had my middle finger, trigger finger, operated on. And then
And that's the name for it, trigger finger.
It's called trigger finger.
Right.
Your finger locks. Okay, and I believe it was Thursday.
Can't remember.
They took some skin cancer off the top of my head. Now they're going to have to take it off my shoulder, the back of my arm, and they're going to search my body. And I didn't go to any nudist colonies, so I don't think they have to search that part of my body. But they're going to search my body for more cancer.
So it's another PSA. Like in 2017, we gave a PSA for colon, getting colonoscopies, because that saved your life.
Any little sore that doesn't heal needs to be checked to see if it's skin cancer, especially if it's in a place that has a lot of sunshine.
Mm-hmm.
Fortunately, a lot of people have hair on the top of their head.
Mm-hmm.
But what I'm concerned with is this. All of these demonstrations, all of this news coverage concentrates on one thing. Now, you know that we had the Chulo shooting in Wethersfield, Connecticut. You know that a Wethersfield police officer standing in the road shot the operator of a vehicle that was coming at him, and he died. Okay. When they were having the demonstration at the Wethersfield Police Department, I went down specifically to ask questions. Excuse me. I went to speak to, I think it was an uncle or a father or something. I said, excuse me, I just need to have something answered. Did you know that your son did not have a driver's license? The vehicle was unregistered and uninsured. Did you know that he had done this previously, run away from a policeman? Did you know that? Well, the crowd about took my head off. Okay? I saw in the mainstream media this week a statement, and I want to say it may have even been on CNN. I could be wrong. But evidently NBC or MSNBC up in Minneapolis played some 911 audio and showed some video footage from the scene.
Which scene?
Where the girl was going to stab another girl.
Right.
Now, and then the article said, this is what they left out. They left out that the caller told dispatch, some older girls are trying to beat us up and stab us with a knife. That was left out of the news article. And then when you went to the scene and you had the video, and I guess the TV station had the video, they left out the clip, the part of the clip where it showed the girl with the knife in her hand ready to stab the other girl. They left that out.
That part has since come out, though.
Oh, no, that part's out. And they've played the 911 tape. And they've shown this knife in the girl's hand. Now, this is what I'm trying to say. In the Wethersfield Chulo police shooting, I don't think there's one news outlet who investigated it to the point that, oh, he was caught on that one of these traffic cameras, that license plate readers. He was caught on a Wethersfield police officer's dash cam weeks before. Well, let me put it this way. It was the same car with the same marker plate. Okay?
Good point.
Could have been somebody else driving it. But that car ran at night and got away. So this vehicle or this plate or whatever seems to have been involved previously with running away from law enforcement. Now, if you tell the story, shootings, an armed individual walked into a grocery store protesting, from what J.C. Playford says, the answer is no. Nobody gives a shit. White guy got shot by the cops. Let me see if I can wrap this up with what I want to say. When the incident happens, if you have dash cam video, or you have body cam video, or you have neighborhood video, Or some young girl, like in the Chauvin case, comes forward and says, I shot it on my cell phone. I have it all right here. That information, if acquired by law enforcement, I mean, they're going to have the body camera, they're going to have the dash camera, they'll probably have the surveillance from the businesses in the area. They need to release that video as soon as possible. And law enforcement cannot be afraid to say the individual was armed, or the individual was aggressive towards somebody, or the individual was whatever. The kid that got out of the car and it was a taser instead, it was a gun instead of a taser. They stopped him, wrong plate on the car, right? Master control. Are you aware of the fact that there was a motor vehicle stop where there was the wrong marker plate on the car and the female officer thought she was tasing the guy and shot her with a gun?
Well, that was a big story.
You heard about that, right? Timothy McVeigh got caught because he didn't have the right plate on the car. What makes the stop of the motor vehicle stop of Timothy McVeigh any different from the stop of another individual with the wrong plate on the car? In a policeman's mind, it's the same thing. That plate doesn't belong on that car. Something's up. So the antenna goes up. Now, they stop the car. The body camera, I would imagine it was the body camera, captures him getting out. And now they're going to take him into custody. Proper control.
Now which one are we talking about right now?
Shot in the car, thought it was a taser, it ended up being a handgun.
Got it.
Female officer.
Got it.
They're going to take him out of the car. They're going to take him into custody. When you take him into custody, you usually handcuff them behind their back, and they take a ride to the police station. The video, the body video, clearly shows them attempting to take the individual into custody. The body camera video clearly shows the individual beginning to resist, okay? And I guess he got back in his car and was going to try to take off. I don't know what maybe he was just tired and wanted to sit down. Maybe he had a bad heart, okay? But what I'm saying is, they're not paying any attention to the reason for the stop. They're not saying to the country, whatever nationality you are, whatever color you are, whatever, you go like this. You run, you're in trouble. You run, you can expect trouble from law enforcement. They're not going to treat you as they would a standard person, take him into custody, take him to the station, book him, and out he goes.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I understand. I believe that the black community, the Hispanic community, and the American Indians have a reason to be fearful of the white man. I understand that. But I'm looking at incidents where there is some kind of aggressive moves being made by the people who end up being shot. I read the most ridiculous thing in the world. If you're in the state of Connecticut and you discharge your firearm into the air, what is that called?
I think they would probably charge you with reckless endangerment.
Because the bullet's got to come down somewhere.
Right.
Now, maybe other people on the other side of the camera aren't aware of this, but usually on 4th of July or New Year's Eve, someone miles away gets hit with a bullet in the head that comes falling out of the sky that was shot by somebody a mile away because they fired into the air. So the public is sitting there saying, why didn't you shoot him in the leg? Why didn't you shoot him or shoot the gun in the air, your pistol in the air?
Oh, that's dangerous.
The chief, to his credit, came out and said, we don't teach our people to wound people.
Right.
We only take the pistol out because there's a possibility that we may need to use deadly physical force. When you take your gun out as a policeman, you have to have in your head, this could turn into a deadly force situation. How many policemen have been fucking killed on the side of the road? There's no protests. Really, there's no protests on the part of the public looking to lynch the guy that shot the cop. Why? Now, if we've said it once, Rachel, we've said it 100 times. You can support law enforcement as much as we do, but you're never going to support law enforcement more than we do. But we collectively, you and I, do not support bad law enforcement. Now, you're in a unique situation. As a lawyer, you're required to give your clients the best possible defense you can offer. Is that not correct?
Yes.
Okay. I'm not bound by that rule. I am if I'm working in your office, but I go, some things are just wrong. Some things are just bad. Do you think Chauvin went home that night and said, "Hey!"
About police officers who make assumptions all the time based on how somebody reacted or how somebody looked or how their eyes moved? I agree completely. There is no way people can really pin down what people are thinking just based on that. I don't care how much training and experience you have.
Passed away,
John Lewis.
John Lewis.
Mm-hmm.
When him and Warren decided to go into the House chamber and hold a there was no reprimands, there was no taken into custody by the sergeant at arms, who's the police chief of the Capitol. Nobody was taken into custody. Nobody went to court. I cannot. Why? That would be one of my defenses if I was down there on January 6th. I have 45.
Everyone involved, but it's just not one act of violence. It's everywhere. What the hell's that?
Now that's a different story from the 44.
Yeah, I mean, this.
This is a different story from this one.
Right.
I
mean,
did take
that's
this.
a picture. What the heck can you tell from that? You have no idea what's going on there.
No, but this looked like this.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is the caption under the photograph. This is the story.
Right.
Okay. Now, like I said, anybody that wants can videotape or Google. What did I just say it was? Caught on camera. Police explode. I think that if you Googled that, you would come up with this article. Now,
well, we had that incident in Connecticut where the state trooper pulled the guy over and just kind of went nuts on him.
And got recorded.
Yeah, and clearly there was something personal going on with that trooper because whatever was happening at the scene didn't warrant that.
And for him to say, "That's all right, I'm retiring in a little while. You know it can happen to me."
Right.
He's going to retire. And he probably did. Okay?
Well, for his sake and everybody else's.
An Alabama governor, the Alabama governor, Ivey, signs a ban transgender athletes bill.
There's some litigation in federal courts here in Connecticut about that.
Here's the problem. I'm in high school. I'm a jock. But I didn't make the male baseball team.
Go ahead.
So I'm going to join the girls baseball team. What are you going like that for?
Because it's not that easy. I mean.
Okay. Where do you draw the line?
I don't. Yeah, I mean, they do ask, what do you identify as?
But where do you draw the line?
Like, what standard does there have to be to compete on a team that does not have people of your biological birth gender? What standard is used?
There's someone that I have become acquainted with. Lives out in California. She is very big into firearms. And if a man gets an operation to become a female, and you're talking, does he still think like a male? Is there anything left of male mentality in the head of someone like that?
You know what I'm going to say to you, Ed?
Go ahead.
I think this subject is beyond view
Okay, but
beyond me.
okay, but what I'm trying to say is this: is the world is getting so confusing that if you have a daughter, and we had Title IX to give girls equality on the, you know, like male football, male basketball, female basketball. That's how UConn became a powerhouse. Of schools in Connecticut that are permitting males to use the female bathroom. And females, I guess, can use the male bathroom. And I know that there was a lawsuit one time over a football stadium because there weren't enough female toilets and they weren't being used in the male restroom. So the females were going in behind the door and taking a dump and whatever, peeing, whatever, and leaving. And there was that. And then there was the female sportscaster who got to go in equally to the male dressing room with naked males and do her interviews because the males were doing it. I understand all of that. But I have a problem with male and female. Here's what they ought to do. One bathroom, one toilet, one locked door. If you're a male or a female, if you come into this location right here, how many toilets are there? One. So don't leave the seat up. Make sure you don't pee on it when it's down. Make sure everything in, because the next person that comes in may be a female and be sitting in your pee, so you got to be nice. But why are they building schools with male and female restrooms when just make one? Make a row of 10 of them.
I don't know that they are. I think we'd have to check into that. I think they are changing and adapting.
Well, when they rebuilt the school in Newtown, I was going to go look at the blueprints to find out exactly how they're designing schools, because a lot of them, it's cookie cutter design.
I mean, what is the reason why we separate males and females in certain contexts like gym or bathrooms or sleeping accommodations in the military, or I don't even know if they still do that anymore.
Hold
Why do we do that?
on. When did you go to the University of South Carolina?
Back in the 80s.
When did you go to Yale Law?
In the 90s.
But you didn't live on
the
campus.
80s, 90s.
You didn't live on campus in law school.
Mm-mm.
You had a.
I never lived on campus anywhere.
Okay. Well, technically you were on. No, I guess you weren't.
Mm-mm.
Okay, but I had a girlfriend that went to Vassar when it was a girls' school,
Mm-hmm.
and then all of a sudden it became co-ed. Yale became co-ed. All these people. Now I got to ask, and I don't need a response. Master Control. When you were in school, was the dormitory comprised of male and females?
Are you talking about college?
College.
Now they give you the option to choose if you want to live co-ed or your gender.
So in the college that you went to, you had a choice.
Not when I first went, but when I was like a junior or senior, they started giving you that option.
Okay, well, then I need to clarify. When you first went there, was it co-ed?
The university was.
Were the dormitories co-ed when you first got there?
Yes.
So someone must have complained that they gave you an option of all females, all males, or co-ed.
Or you had to wait till you were a junior to have a choice. It could go either way.
It was, they didn't, well, we did suite style. They weren't like hallways where you had shared bathrooms, so.
Suites?
Yeah. So
This is the first time hearing about it. You went to college that had actual suites, like sofas and TVs and.
No, like
I'm
bathrooms.
joking. But in some schools, they actually put males and females in the same room. Correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They usually like ask what you prefer when you like.
Well, what if the last bed available and you're a female is in the room with a male?
Yeah, I don't think that would happen.
I I don't. Yeah.
I think that, yeah.
Okay,
You're
okay.
paying to go there. So.
Yeah.
Listen,
Yeah.
listen.
But Ed, I think you, if you want to have this discussion, then we really have to get to the bottom of it. What has been the purpose in the past for separating males and females in college dorms, in military barracks, in school bathrooms? What has been the purpose of that? I mean, that the obvious purpose that springs to mind, I guess, is so they're not having sex with each other all the time, I guess.
I'm going to agree with that, but I'm going to go a step further. There's going to be fewer sexual assaults because I think that there was information coming out of the United States Air Force Academy where female students claimed that they were sexually harassed at the academy by males. Now, I don't know why, I don't know. I guess as a male, I wouldn't mind it. Let me get rid of this.
Because, I mean, we ran into this question when we were doing a case that involved a center. What was it? What was that center called? It was the Drapelick Center. What the hell? When you get out of prison and you get halfway house, involved a halfway house. And people at the halfway house were one gender, male. And so only males could enter their rooms and not the female staff. But that's assuming all the men and the staff are heterosexual. Because if people are gay, heterosexual, different things, then, and you're seeking to protect them from being assaulted, well, a man can be assaulted just as easily by a man.
Listen, I agree.
So,
I agree.
What is the purpose anymore of that?
I agree. This is going to sound, this is only for argument's sake. Why don't we make our prisons co-ed and people will plead guilty more often?
Yeah.
I didn't mean, because I know what you...
Yeah, no, it's a serious subject, I think.
It is a serious subject.
Yeah.
But I'm sitting here saying to myself, I'm 73 and I still cannot understand it because I know they're probably not doing it for 5-year-olds. After I went into the Board of Education, they stopped. They made the locker room into a storage area.
Okay.
You follow me?
Mm-hmm.
They said we're not gonna have showers anymore. I didn't take a shower until I was in 7th grade. That's when I started taking showers in school. Not in 6th grade, in 7th grade. But I can't help but think, and the argument that I had at the time with the superintendent is, my son's modesty any less important than a girl's modesty?
You know what I feel like we're doing in this show today?
Uh-oh.
I feel like we're making a time capsule for 50 years from now, so people can look back on this year and hear you talk and say, wow, that's how people thought back then. And I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm just saying it's like a time capsule of you talking about the changes that are in progress, having no idea where they're going to go, whether they're going to stop, or whether there's going to be a withdrawal, a backtrack on it. You have no idea. And so you're kind of making a moment in time video for people in the future.
Then let's call it a moment in time video, okay? And let's talk about a moment in time. In 1955, some of this shit would never even be considered. Well, it's 2021. Now, I believe that I can talk about this without mentioning names.
Well, let's hope so.
A male and female have sex.
Do we have somebody on the line?
Yeah.
Okay.
Who is it?
Joe.
Oh, we'll go to Joe.
Maybe he finally got to the bank this week. We'll ask.
Joe, you there? Oh. Joe, you there? How do I do this now? Hold on a minute.
He'll be patient.
Joe, are you there? Joe.
Hello.
All right,
Yeah.
we're here. Did you get to the bank?
Yeah, I did. Got busy with the grandbaby last weekend, so I missed y'all. He got distracted.
Did you open an account?
No, because I'm still negotiating with a contract on warrants and all that. So the issue is, they don't have to have a warrant, but they can be subpoenaed. And before I did anything about it, I wanted to investigate the subpoena and the history of it, which I didn't study as much as I wanted to because of time and trouble and all that.
Right.
But I went back to as far as Richard II. And the way I'm looking at the subpoena thing was really a reroute around the warrant and third parties involved.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just say I got paperwork, I give it to my brother to hold for me. Well, then the courts can go ahead and get a subpoena for my brother to hand over the paperwork. Well, I'm still under the Constitution illusion that
Whoa,
you still
I
need-
like. I'm gonna have to remember that one. Joe, thank you. You're gonna have to remember that one. The Constitution illusion. Good.
Yeah, and that's where we're at right now. We're under the illusion of the Constitution.
I
And,
agree. I agree 100% with that statement.
But when I studied up what little of the history, the king, Richard, used it to kind of bypass the warrant with third parties. And that was under common law. Now, we brought it kind of back into here with us to be able to, and this is the way I see it. Don't mean this is the way it is. She's a lawyer. She knows more about it than I do. But this is my take on it. But it gives everybody an order to do something against their will and without a warrant. And let's go with CPS. A lot of times it's an order, which is basically another kind of subpoena for the officers to go into the house without a warrant to check up on the kids and all that kind of stuff, which, we still go back to it's unconstitutional.
Right.
You're innocent until proven guilty.
So the difference, I guess, at least one difference between a subpoena and a warrant is if somebody comes to you with a warrant, you have to comply. You can complain about it later, but you have to comply
Right.
with that warrant because the court's already ordered it. A subpoena, an attorney can issue a subpoena, and
Right.
the clerk of the
And
court.
usually they use the third party.
Yeah.
But first, third parties don't have first-hand knowledge of the fact.
And you can move to quash that in court. You can say, I don't want to
Yeah.
comply with this. And so at least you get a hearing. But, a lot of people are intimidated by subpoenas and they comply. And it costs a lot of money and time to fight them. So it really is an easy way to get information from people. You are exactly correct, Joe. And it can be abused.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
See,
And I think they use it way more than they actually should. But we go back into where in the world is it in the Constitution. I think the Founding Fathers knew about this subpoena thing, and they specifically left it out of the Constitution so they can only go by the warrant itself.
I can understand that. You'd have to go back to the minutes of the Continental Congress and look at the background of what they were talking about. But a lot of those documents were burned.
The Federalist Papers,
Yeah.
has
Now,
a lot of information like
Joe,
that.
I want you to
too.
listen to a story, and I'm going to try and tell it very short. Let's
Okay.
assume a man and a woman have sex and they have children.
Yep.
And they live together with the two children.
Mm-hmm.
And then they separate. And the
Yep.
two children go with the mother. And the mother the mother moves to another state. Okay, guy got it. The only thing that documents parentage is a birth certificate. That's it.
Yeah.
No marriage license, no divorce decree, no custody orders, nothing. Absolutely nothing.
Disagree.
Excuse me?
Absolutely disagree.
Go ahead.
Because the marriage license, when you became into that union, you signed a contract.
There's no marriage
So
license.
that contract
There's no
is
marriage
an
license.
investment. Yeah, the children is an investment for future.
There is no marriage license.
Oh, okay.
The only thing that is common with two names is the birth certificate.
Okay.
That's it. No paperwork at all whatsoever. So
Okay.
one of the children reaches age 15, has some serious arguments with the mother, and is taken to an emergency room, and then is transferred to a facility, a psychiatric facility.
Mm-hmm.
The child calls the father and says, it's like being in jail, blah, 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 blah. And now the father says, I'm coming to get you.
Mm-hmm.
The facility says, you can't. The father asks, why is my child being held? Under what authority? They won't tell him. So they say, well, how do we know you're the father? So he sends his driver's license. He sends the medical insurance card for the child in his name. He sends the birth certificate. He sends the Social Security card. And now they say to him, well, we still can't talk to you until we see the custody papers. He says, there are none. Well, then you have no authority. Well, then whose authority put her in there? If nobody has any papers. It was the craziest.
Well, what brought that up? He called about the bank.
No, but no.
What on earth?
But I want, because see, he was talking about child protective services. Is that correct?
Okay.
Is that correct that the government came up with child protective services so they could come in to look at your kids without a warrant?
Okay. And again, I'm not an attorney, but this is what I am involved in. Okay. So because that birth certificate, you gave up your kids to the state. They actually have full control, and you are the custodial. You are raising the child for the state's best interest for future. Now, if he was on the birth certificate, then he can go in and claim, and this is what we go with common law, claim his property back.
Right.
All right? Okay? Because child is a legalese term. Sons and daughters is common law term, natural law. So he's got to go in there and specifically say, I'm here to get my property back, my son or daughter, but he cannot use child because that's legalese. He's got to use common law and natural law as son and daughters. But as long as he uses child, then he's still within the guidelines of the civil law matter.
Well, all I wanted, you had talked about it, and I was absolutely shocked that with no paperwork whatsoever, a father can't go pick up their child. And then it comes down to what's called the 72-hour rule. You can only hold the child or anybody for 72 hours.
I mean, different states may differ, but
Well, the two states in question have the same 72 hours. So at 72 hours and 1 minute, if you don't have a court order, the father can come pick them up, or the individual should be able to just walk out the door. Okay? 72 hours.
Yeah.
Now, all I can say is I am absolutely shocked at a facility that would not tell. They wanted all of this information to prove he's the father.
Mhm.
But when they get it, they didn't expect to get it as fast as they got it. But you know, it's something to think about, that somehow, some way, some agency can fabricate a policy that says, no, you can't get your kid. Opinion?
Well, and
I've never run into that.
we've
I don't
been
know.
we've been used to so much of transferring policy to we the people, when policy attends to the employees. Walmart employees attend to the Walmart employees, the policies. Police department has policies, but it attends to the employees. But we've been so used to the policies affecting us, we the people, that we're under the illusion that it actually attends to us when it's not. Policies, the judge is saying you cannot enter the court. Well, the court, the Constitution says we are allowed to go in that court, but they have a policy. Well, the policy is for the court members, not for the people. And we've been so diluted down, and excuse my language, we've been so dumbed down that we think policy actually belongs to us and the rules. If it's not a law, then it does not tend to we the people. It only tends to the employees. Executive orders attend to the employees, not to the people.
I've got some time that I need to speak to Rachel, but I just want to pose a situation to you. And you
Well,
can,
either way
you,
it goes
can
wrong.
you can do the research all the way back to, and I'm surprised Richard II. I mean, you did your homework, okay? But here's my question. What requires me to stand when a judge enters a courtroom? What requires me to stand when the judge leaves the bench? What authority does anybody have to threaten me with contempt of court if I don't stand?
Okay, so, and again, I'm not a lawyer, so nobody take my advice. We still got to go with it, and sorry if I got your name, ma'am, but we still got to go into, we're operating in legalese of civil law. We are not operating within the common law constitution. So, we go to court, and we do not stand up and use the correct terms. Everything in law is the meaning of the words. The words is what matters when you're in court. So when, like I go to court, I go in there and I specifically let them know, I'm a man. I'm not a person, and I'm not a human being. My Creator says I am a man, and whoever says anything else is man's law, and I accept the Creator's before I accept man's law. So I'm not a person when I go to court.
I agree.
And I'm not a human being when I go in court. I'm a man, no more, no less.
I agree with you, Joe, and then I'm going to start to wrap up. I agree that the rights given to me by my Creator, whoever that may be, whatever that may be, supersedes any authority or rights someone wants to impose on me if they conflict with rights given to me by my Creator. It just,
Yeah.
and I thought that's what the founding fathers were talking about. Is that there's certain rights we don't have to write them. They're so well known. We don't even have to write them down. And now people are finding those non-written down areas and trying to fill it with crazy rules. What do you think?
Well,
Yeah.
no, I agree.
When it's for the people. When it's for the people. The founding father says that what's not in there is for the people.
Right.
You cannot fill in the empty blanks because the empty blank is for the people to live their lives freely.
You always liven the show. And I will tell you, you're gonna pick up. Master Control is gonna pick up the phone, and I'm gonna take your email address, and I actually have a transcript of one of our conversations that I'm going to email to you, okay? So why don't you pick it up back there? Put it on hold, I'm told. They
Oh
don't-
boy,
my-
this
I
is
don't
going
know,
to be
my-
a test.
my
Ed.
eyeballs-
Hold on.
My eyeballs don't tell me where hold is. Hold on.
Just remember for your audience out there,
Yep.
Press line 1.
anything under inalienable rights
Wait a second.
is slavery and masters to the government,
Gotcha.
or slaves into the government.
You press the line button. Press line 1.
Press line 1.
There you go.
That's on hold?
Yep.
Oh, that's how you do
Good
it.
job, Ed.
Hello.
I was distracted because the phone showed that my vet was calling.
And whenever
So-
your vet calls, it's like the Mercedes mechanic.
But I'm sure it's okay because I don't have a dog that's hospitalized or anything right now. So I missed what Joe said about standing and sitting in the courtroom. He said that was man's law. I missed that part of it.
That's man's law, not God's law. In other words, that's what I said. When Jesus Christ walks through the door, I'll stand up. But if pro athletes or people have the right to take a kneel at a football game, can you imagine if when the judge walks into a courtroom, you stack the courtroom with everybody that's going to take a kneel rather than stand up?
Yeah, it's why people get very upset when people don't stand for the flag at sporting events. The players, the football players especially, you know, whatever. It's because of what the flag represents. That represents our country, what we fight for, what we die for. And I think the same goes for judges, I guess. You know, that's why we stand, because of what they represent. The problem with that is the flag. It's easy to look at that as something that represents what we believe in, because the flag doesn't talk, the flag doesn't make mistakes, the flag isn't rude, the flag isn't...
The flag doesn't jump up our ass.
Right, and whereas judges, you know, they come in all forms and flavors, and that's the difference. Judges, there's no doubt in your mind you're standing for a human being, which makes it very tough.
Let me give you an example. I go into court with you as your investigator. When the judge comes in and I'm standing next to you, I stand. I'm standing because of you, not because of the judge.
And I think when it comes really down to it, most attorneys are standing for their client. Because if I have an attorney and I'm in court and the judge comes in and my attorney's not standing for the judge, I get a little worried about what's going to happen to me.
In the sentencing, you couldn't see the jury, but you knew when they came in because everybody stood up. You stand up for the jury, okay? Now, what I can't understand is where did that rule start? What authority do they have to enforce that rule? And you know that I always get into some kind of shit in the courtroom when they tell me to do something. I know that I don't have to do
I got to
it.
tell you, that whole thing is standing for the jury. It's gratuitous. It's really quite silly, and I can't imagine people on a jury really want people to do that. It's really a weird custom. I don't know if it's everywhere or not, but I know sometimes if you're super busy and you're trying to prepare and whatever, you don't always stand when the jurors come in because you don't have to. It's just it just seems very I don't know, like you're trying to suck up to them or something. It's weird.
Well, look, I'm Ed Peruta. That's Rachel Baird. We're going to see you next Saturday.
Are we going to go fly a drone today? It's very nice
I
out.
think it's a good day to fly drones.
I think it is a good day to fly a drone. Let's go do that.
Okay?
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 Everybody have a good week.
Bye-bye.